Right, once again, welcome to Slayter Notes. We already did seven set of SST. Today is the eighth set eight. So let's start. The military expedition into the southern India during early medieval period started in the reign of who? Qutbuddin Aibak, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, Jalaluddin Khalji, or Alauddin Khalji. So the military expedition into southern India, that is South India, started during the rule of actually Alauddin Khalji. Yes. Question number two. Match the following categories of land during the Chola period with the correct option. So, Chola period, there are giving land giving names. So, you have to match which one goes. So, Balanbagai is what? Land gifted to temple or land for maintenance school or land of non-brahmanical peasant or land gifted to brahmanas. Balanbagai is land gifted to what? Brahmadaya, Shalabhoga, and Devadana. So Brahmadaya is what Brahmins, so B is 4, right? Devadana is Shalabhoga is about maintenance of school, so C is 2. So you get your answer what? B4, C2, A3. That is Balanbaga is land to the Brahmana present, and D is done Devadana is land gifted to the temple. So answer is A. Wait a second, answer is B. Yes, answer is B. Villanueva is Billalar peasant. Billalar peasant is the large landholder in Tamil section. Non-Brahmin peasant land. Brahmada is Brahma. They gave to Brahmins. Shalaboga is obviously school for maintaining school. Shala meaning school. Devdana is Deva god. Dana means gift. Land gifted to the temples. Question number 3. Read the statement about Aini Akbari. It is the second volume of Akbarnama. It records the event of Akbar reign. It records about the tradition and culture of the people. It provides statistical data about many things. What is the answer? Answer is C and D are correct because A. It is the second volume of the Akbar. Is totally incorrect because Aini Akbar is the third volume of Akbar. First volume was about ancestor and early life of Akbar. Second volume was events of Akbar name, and the third volume was Aini Akbari, that is about administration, culture, strategies. B. It records events of Akbar name. So events of Akbar name, like we talked about, has to be the second volume. It is third volume, so it cannot be true. The first two volumes of Akbarnama mainly record the history and events of Akbar reigns. C. It records about tradition and culture of the people. That is correct. It provides statistical data about many things. That is also correct. It includes details about administration, revenue, population, prices, military organization, crops, and customs. Question number 4. The grading system used by the Mughals to fix rank, salary, and military responsibilities was known as Mansabdari system. You just remember that to fix salary, it's Mansabdari system. Question number 5. They were sharply critical of the Buddhist enjoins and preached ardent love of Shiva or Vishnu as the path of salvation. The above mentioned characteristics is related to what? They are Myanmars and Walbars. They were devotees of Shiva, and they hated flourished only in South India between 6 and 9. They emphasized intense personal devotion of bhakti as the path of salvation. Many of their hymns criticized Buddhism and Jainism. They are haters. They hated on Buddhism and Jainism, which have been influencing in their region. Question number 6. The doctrine of Vishishta Vaida was propounded in 11th century by who? Vishishta was propounded by was who? Basavanna or Ramanuja. Doctrine of Bishita Vaidya was propounded in 11th century by Ramanuja. So Bishita Vaidya means qualified non-dualism. It is propounded by Ramanuja 1017 to 1137 common era in the 11th and 12th century. He was a major philosopher of Bhakti movement and devotee of Vishnu. According to his philosophy, the individual soul, that is Jiva, and the universe are distinct but are inseparably related to the supreme being, that is Brahman. Basavanna was the founder of Lingayat movement. Eknath was 16th century Marathi Bhakti saint, and Shakubai was a saint associated with the Bhakti tradition in Maharashtra. Question number 7. Read the statement and choose the correct option. The Farman issued by Aurangzeb granted the East India Company the right to trade duty free or private traders the right to trade duty free. Private trader really exploit that. The answer is only A because the Farman was that East India Company has the right to trade duty free, not the private trader because they really exploit at that time. Question number 8. Read the statement and R and choose the correct option. Assertion. East India Company introduced permanent settlement and Malbari settlement in their territories. That is correct. Reason is because these settlements were required to improve the agriculture. Not really. No, they never did anything to improve anything. So assertion is true and reason is false. East India Company introduced different land revenue system in India, including permanent settlement introduced in 1793 in Bengal by Lord Cornwallis. Remember, permanent settlement was started by Lord Cornwallis in 1793. Then come Mahalwari settlement introduced in the part of northwestern India in the early 19th century. Yes, so Mahalwadi and permanent was started. Then come reason. Reason is what? Reason is false because these settlements were primarily introduced to maximize and ensure regular revenue collection for the company. They are greedy, so they only do something that is profitable for them. So they would never do, like I talked about, they would never do something that improves in agricultural practice or whatever. These settlements were primarily introduced to maximize and ensure regular revenue collection for the company. Improving agricultural practice or irrigation was not the main objective. In fact, the British generally invested very little in irrigation during the early period of their rule. Then come question number 9. The overarching theme of the book Poverty and Un-British in India by Dadabhai Naoroji is about what? Governance and administration British India government, payment of wages, not really economic impact. No, so the answer is to governance and administration of the British. Wait a second. Economic impact of British rule in the Indian subcontinent. Sorry. The Poverty and Un-British Rule in India by Dadabhai Naoroji is about the economic impact of British rule in the Indian subcontinent. Question number 10. Assertion. In the permanent settlement, who started it? Lord Cornwallis in the year what? 1793. Zamindar had to collect flexible rent from the peasant and pay fixed revenue to the company. Obviously, in a fixed pay, meaning if the company wanted 20 rupees from them, the zamindar can be flexible and get like 30 or 40 from the peasant, so they would get the extra from the top. Reason is in the making rent flexible, the company thought it would encourage zamindar to invest in improving the land. So they thought about that, but that would never happen. They just obviously A is to R is false. In making rent, as you can see, the company never make the rent flexible for the zamindar. They were fixed, but flexible was zamindar to the peasants. So that is completely wrong. Here is the complete explanation. The permanent settlement was a land revenue system introduced by the East India Company in 1793 under Lord Cornwallis, mainly in Bengal, Bihar, and parts of Odisha. Here, peasant pay rent to zamindar, zamindar pay fixed revenue to East India Company. For example, peasant pay rent 50 rupees to zamindar, and zamindar paid fixed revenue was for 20 rupees to East India. Zamindar get 30. How did it work? Zamindar were recognized as landholders. The company made zamindars responsible for collecting revenue from the peasants. Then, revenue payable to the company was fixed permanently, meaning zamindar had to pay a fixed amount to the company every year, right? The company could not increase the fixed demand in the future. Then zamindar collected rent from the peasant, right? Zamindar collected rent from the peasant. They could keep the amount remaining after paying the company fixed revenue. Like I talked about, 20 given, 30 they keep, but it's not really. They would not be able to keep the bigger share because British were very much greedy and everything. So why did the company introduce it? That is the answer. The company expected that because the revenue demand was permanently fixed, Zamindar would have an incentive objective to improve agriculture and increase production. If production increased, Zamindar could earn more while still paying the same fixed revenue to the company. But that did not work. What actually happened was many Zamindar did not invest in improving the land. They often tried to extract higher rent from peasant. If a Zamindar failed to pay the company revenue on time, his estate could be auctioned off, like auction to give some. So revenue to the company. Whole view of the permanent settlement was revenue to the company permanently fixed and rent collected not permanently fixed. So that is your keyword. Question number 11. Which of the following is chronologically correct order of annexation of East India Company? Sindh, south of India, Afghanistan and Punjab. Sindh, Afghanistan, south of India, Punjab. South of India, Sindh, Afghanistan and Punjab, or south of India, Afghanistan, Sindh and Punjab. Answer is south of India's Afghanistan, Sindh and Punjab. Chronological correct order of annexation by East India. First they did what? South of India, then Afghanistan, then Sindh and then Punjab. That's how they did it. Question number 12. Who among the following Governor General decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal emperor and after his death none of the descendants would be recognized as a ruler? Who did that? William Bentinck or Canning or Cornwallis or D.El.Ed? Answer is Lord Canning. Now remember there's two questions like this. One is who decided Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal emperor, right? You are going to receive another question of this sort. Who talked about getting Bahadur Shah out of Agra and all those things? So Lord Canning, here is the answer, and they are Bentinck maybe. Lord Canning was the Governor General decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal emperor, and after his death, none of the descendants would be recognized as ruler. Then, in the late 18th century, the presidencies of Bombay, Madras, and Bengal developed from which of the following East India Company's trading posts? So that has to be Surat, Madras, and Calcutta. Surat, Madras, and Calcutta. Yes, the three major presidencies of the English East India Company developed from its important trading settlements. Bombay Presidency developed from company's western trading centers before Bombay became the main headquarters. Surat was what principal English trading post on the west coast. Madras Presidency developed from Madras, now Chennai, where their company established for St. George. Then come Bengal Presidency, developed from Calcutta, now Kolkata, where the company established Fort William. Now question number 14. Who among the following argued for the women's education in the 19th century by citing verses from the Holy Quran? So the answer is Mumtaz Ali. Yes. She argued for the women's education in the 19th century by citing verses from the Holy Quran. Question number 15. Consider the statement A and B on Diwani Adalat established in 1772 in India and choose the correct answer. It is a criminal code. It was presided over by the European district collectors. I think both of them. It was a criminal court maybe, but European district collector that feels wrong. Wait a second. Diwani Adalat established in 1772 was presided over by Europe district collector. I did not know that. The A is false. It was not a criminal code because the Diwani Adalat was a civil code established by Warren Hastings in 1772. It dealt with cases related to property, inheritance, marriage, caste dispute and debts. Criminal cases were handled by the Fauzdari Adalat, not the Diwani Adalat. So Fauzdari Adalat was criminal code, and Diwani Adalat was what? Civil code. It deals with marriage, caste dispute, debts, inheritance, all those things. Statement B is true because it presided over by the European district collectors too. Under the judicial ban of 1772, the district collector, who was European official of the East India Company, presided over the Diwani Adalat at the district level. Question number 16. Which of the following statement is incorrect regarding Gandhiji's views on colonial education? English education emphasized more on oral than on reading and writing. That is not true. So the question here asks for incorrect one, so that has to be the one. Education given in English cut off Indians from the social. That is, he said that colonial education created feeling in, that is also said by Mahatma Gandhi. or views by in Western education more emphasis laid on textbook than on life experience and practical knowledge. That is also correct. So when it is more on textbook, he cannot say more on oral. So the answer should be A. Yes, because it asks for incorrect one. As the D, he clearly said that the Western education laid more on written, not oral. So the answer has to be the one because it says which one is the incorrect one. Question number 17. Mahatma Gandhi actually criticized Westerns and English education because it heavily focused on reading and writing, textbook learning, while completely neglecting oral knowledge, practical skill, and physical work. So, yes, more on oral knowledge than on reading and writing. Yes. Question number 17. Who among the following was supporter of Wahdat Adin, that is the fundamental unity of all religions? So, that has to be Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad is the answer. He was the supporter of Wahdat Din, that is fundamental unity of all religion. Maulana Azad. What a legend. Question number 18. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the Paramparatism policy of British? Paramparatism. Options are it emphasized that the European method of imparting information was practically beneficial as opposed to the Oriental one. It declared that no other trading group in the England could compete with the East India Company. Which one is correct? Right? It declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his empire would be taken over. Yeah, that is true because that is doctrine of lapse, right? The company claimed that its power was supreme and hence it was above in the old state. That is also correct. But it was the European method of imparting information practically beneficial as opposed to the Oriental one. Answer has to be D. The company claimed its power was supreme. Oh, here's actually the last one. Supreme and hence it was above the Indian states. That is actually correct. Answer as per which one is correct regarding Paramedicism policy of British. Yes. So, according to Paramedicism policy, the company claimed that its power was supreme and hence it was above. That is the only correct one. Refers to the British policy of paramountcy often misspelled as paratism in some question banks. Yes, of course. Under this policy, the British, through the East India Company and later the British Crown, claimed supreme authority over all Indian princely states. The ruler could govern internally, but the sovereignty was subordinate to the British authority, like how they plan on taking over. Why the other option correct? Refers to the Anglistic view in education which favored European education, refers to the monopoly privilege of the East India, not paramountcy, refers to the doctrine of lapse. Yes, right. The third one is about doctrine of lapse, started by Lord Dalhousie. Question number 19. The Rowlatt Act 1999 was opposed because it provided separate electors for Muslims, or it is introduced direct in the it prohibited Indians from bearing arms, so it affected fundamental rights like freedom. No, it affected fundamental rights and like freedom of expression. The Rowlatt Act 1919, officially called the Anarchical and Revolutionary Crimes Act, gave the colonial government extraordinary powers to arrest people without trial, detain suspects for long periods without a jury, restrict freedom of the press and public gathering. These are the some Rowlatt Act they started British, they are the real scumbags. Question number 20. As we move away from the sun, the solar system size of the planet decreases gradually as we are moving. Not really because Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars and Neptune was bigger. Uranus. Planets very close to the sun are made up of gas and liquids. The planets so far away from the sun are made up of rocks. No, Venus was also made up of rocks. Time taken by the planet to compare one orbit around the sun increases. Time taken by the planet to complete one orbit around the sun decreases. What is the answer? Time taken by the planets to complete one orbit around the sun increases. Yes. Explanation. As we move further away from the sun, the planet travel in large orbits and move more slowly, right? Due to the weaker gravitational attraction. Oh, they move slowly. Wait a second. Orbit around the sun increases obviously because Mercury takes 88 Earth days, Venus to 25, and then it start. Mercury takes 88 Earth days to orbit the Sun, and Neptune 165 years. Can you guess? As we move away from the Sun in a rotation, revolution time increases, orbital time increases, right? Because Mercury revolves around Sun in 88 days. Venus revolved around in 225 Earth days. Earth revolved in 365 and a half days. Mars revolved 687 Earth days. That is one almost 2 year. Jupiter takes 11.86 Earth years to revolve around the Sun. Saturn 29 Earth years. Uranus 84 Earth years. Then Neptune 164 Earth years. As the distance from the Sun increases, the time taken to complete one orbit also increases. Likewise, Mercury takes the lowest time, Venus, Earth, then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Question number 21. Which of the statements regarding latitudes are correct? The latitudes is an imaginary circular line with varied radius. The latitude is very important to identify the local time. It's about longitude. So B out. If you out the B, then you see BC ACD is the answer. Yes. Distance from the equator to the ether pole is 1/4 circle about that. So the answer has to be SCD. B does not make sense. Question number 22. Consider the sentences in the context of planet Earth. The axis of the Earth makes an angle of 66 and a half with orbital plane. Yes, revolution is the movement of Earth on its axis. That is rotation. Revolution is what happens 1 year. So B is false. The axis of Earth makes an angle of 66 and a half with its orbital plane. True, Earth axis is tilted at 23 degrees from the perpendicular to the orbital plane, which means it makes an angle of 66 and a half. 90 degree minus 23 and a half is 66, the orbital plane itself. Statement B, revolution. No, movement of the Earth is called rotation. Revolution is the movement of the Earth around the Sun. Question number 23. Consider the following statement A and B and choose the correct option. By measuring the angle of pole star from your place, you can know the latitude of your place. Okay, to fix the position of a place on Earth, one needs to know the latitude and longitude of that place. Sure, both A and R are true. You can know the latitude of place. Yeah, sure, you can do that. Because to fix the original place on Earth, one is to know the latitude and longitude of that place. That is also true, but it does not explain it. Both A and R are true, and R does not explain. Both A and B are true, but B is not the correct explanation of yes. Statement A is true because attitude angle above the horizon of the pole star is exclusively equal to the latitude of the observer's location in the northern hemisphere. For example, if the pole star appears at an angle of 30 degree, the latitude of that place is about 30 degree north. Statement B is also true. To determine exact position of any place on Earth, both latitude and longitude are required. That is true. However, B does not explain it. Like B talks about what? Locating a place precisely using two coordinates, whereas A specifically describe how the angle of the pole star can be used to find latitude only. Question number 24. Consider the following statement A, B and choose the correct option. Landforms are found over the continent, not the ocean floor. Are you kidding? Ocean floor has land. Natural environment refers to only biotic. That is also wrong. The human environment refers to the activities, creations, and interaction among the sea is the only truth. Yes. Question number 25. Identify the heat zone of the earth based on the given characteristics. Area is very cold, that is about frigid. The sun here does not rise up, that is about frigid. Area lying between the Arctic Circle and North Pole, that is also frigid. Sun rays are always slanting and probe less heat, that is also frigid zone. Yes, frigid zone is what? Cold, Arctic Circle and North Pole and South Pole and everything between the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere. The sun rays are always slanting, so these regions receive very little heat. Therefore, these areas are extremely cold, and during the parts of the year, the sun may not rise above the horizon. That is called polar night. Question number 26. Which of the following statement is the correct explanation of environment? The place, things, and the nature that surround any living organism. True. Only human activities are not really. So if we be out, the answer is yes. It is both the biotic and abiotic condition existing on the earth. Yes, the combination of natural and human made phenomena. So the answer has to be what? A, B, D. A, C, D. Sorry, not B. Only human activities on earth is not the acid is the answer. Sorry, I no acid is the answer. Only human activities never is many things that form the animal. So the answer is acid. Yes. Question number 27. Read the statement A and B and choose the correct statement. The amount of isolation decreases from equator towards pole because solar radius does not affect the distribution of the temperature of the solar radius obviously affect the distribution of the so A is to R is plus A is to because insolation sorry isolation no insolation there is a mistake it's not insolation it's not isolation insolation incoming solar radius decrease from the equator because equator was straight and then it just started scattering right so so insolation that is incoming solar radius decreases from the equator towards the pole because the sun rays become more slanting, spreading the same amount of energy over the larger area, right? It starts scattering. Option B is statement B is false because solar radiation is the main factor affecting the distribution of the temperature on Earth. Areas receiving more solar radiation are generally warmer, while those receiving less are cooler. So that is totally wrong. Question number 28. Which of the following statement correctly explains change in season? Season change due to positioning of the Earth around Sun around the Earth. When the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the Sun, the area on the tropical cancer receive the heat and experience summer season. So the answer is only B. Season does not change with the position of the Sun around the Earth because season do not change because of the position of the Sun around the Earth. In reality, the Earth revolves around the Sun, and change in season is mainly due to the tilt of the Earth axis, that is 23 and a half, and its revolution around the Sun. Statement B is true because when northern hemisphere is tilted towards the Sun, areas near the tropical cancer receive more direct sunlight and experience the summer season. Alright, question number 29. The atmosphere that a rocket returning to Earth will pass through before it lands on Earth. So exosphere is the last one, then thermosphere, then stratosphere, then thermosphere. Stratosphere, mesosphere, now, troposphere, thermosphere. Rocket has to go through exosphere first, right? Exosphere, thermosphere, stratosphere, and then come troposphere. The atmosphere have five main layers arranged from the Earth's surface upward. First is troposphere, that is lowest layer about 0 to 12 kilometer. Weather phenomena like cloud, rain, and storm occur here. Contains most of the air and water vapor. Then comes stratosphere, that is about 12 to 50 kilometers above Earth, contains the ozone layer, which absorbs harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. Airplanes often fly in the lower stratosphere because it is relatively stable. Mesosphere is about 50 to 80 kilometers above the Earth. There is meteors burn up in the layer due to friction with the atmosphere. It is the coldest atmospheric level. Then comes thermosphere about 80 to 700 kilometers above Earth. There is temperature increases greatly with height. Contains the ionosphere which reflects radio waves and is where many satellites orbit. So thermosphere, all the action is happening in thermosphere. Then come exosphere, the outermost layer extending from about 700 km to 10,000 km. Air is extremely thin. It gradually merges into this outer space. Alright. Here is the last question. Identify the Paleolithic site from the following. Bhimbetka, Kurnool, Mehergarh or Hangsi. Which of them are Paleolithic site? Hangsi, yes. Only three Mehergarh was not, but Bhimbetka, Mehergarh and Bhimbetka, Kurnool and Hangsi are what? Paleolithic sites. Bhimbetka, an important Paleolithic site, famous for its rock shelter and cave painting. Bhimbetka rock shelter. It's very important actually. Kurnool, the caves in the Kurnool region have yielded evidence of Paleolithic human habitation. Mehrgod, it is a Neolithic and Chalcolithic site, not Paleolithic site. Yes, Mehrgod is a Neolithic site. Hangsi is a well-known lower Paleolithic site in Karnataka with numerous temples. That is also true. So anyway, that's how we somehow ended this one. Uh, Essentially Atet. There's already seven set. These important. These are very important questions. These are freshly made. Many of them are freshly made questions, so you guys should check them out, and it's very going to be helpful. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Just like a notes, work hard, stay smart, stay study hard, work smart, and everything. Goodbye, and have a nice day.